So hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this video we are going to see how to set up CrowdSec with Traefik reverse proxy. So in this case we are using CrowdSec as a web application firewall, and along with that we are using CrowdSec for IDS and IPS, which stands for Intrusion Detection System and Intrusion Prevention System. So in this case we are using it for AppSec vulnerabilities also. So in the case of AppSec, it virtually patches all the services which are running behind the Traefik reverse proxy, so that any known vulnerability which is not yet been patched on the system does not get exploited by any unauthorized attack. So as you can see in this diagram, first, all the request is coming from the internet through the Cloudflare servers, or in your case it may be coming directly from the internet only to the server on which all the applications are deployed. So there is Traefik reverse proxy running in the server, which is this one. So the Traefik reverse proxy is also running a CrowdSec Bouncer, which analyzes all the requests first and handles them and checks with the CrowdSec API to determine whether the IP address is allowed or not. So we are using the Traefik logs for the CrowdSec to determine whether the IP address is safe or not, and whether it has failed any authentication attempts or has tried to brute force or do any other attack on the services. So if the CrowdSec determines that the IP address is bad, then it gives the command to the CrowdSec Bouncer to ban this IP address from accessing any services behind the Traefik reverse proxy. So Traefik reverse proxy has a middleware applied for the CrowdSec Bouncer, and thus all the requests get blocked from the bad IP address. This way all the services behind the Traefik reverse proxy are protected from brute forcing or any other malicious attack. And also, as I explained before, the AppSec component is also present in this Traefik reverse proxy and CrowdSec deployment. So the CrowdSec Bouncer will manage the AppSec deployment with the help of CrowdSec API, and it will prevent any unpatched vulnerabilities from being exploited in the system. Now CrowdSec is based on crowd effort, and it works on collectively analyzing data from multiple users arriving at its database. So if an IP is a bad actor at one CrowdSec server, then it would be relayed to the database and it would be banned from the central database list. So this way the more users that are in a crowd will help to make the database more secure and accurate. So this is the general idea of the CrowdSec. So now let's see how to deploy CrowdSec and Traefik reverse proxy with the CrowdSec Bouncer. So for this you need Docker and Docker Compose setup and installed, and also Traefik reverse proxy setup on your machine. So you can check the video which I have posted by clicking on the I button above and visit it and configure it on your system. So let's proceed with the CrowdSec installation. So once you are in the SSH terminal, just create the CrowdSec folder in which you will deploy the CrowdSec Docker container. So just create the folder and cd into the directory. Now in the CrowdSec directory, just create another folder of config and place the acquis file there. Now here just copy the contents from the GitHub link given in the description below and paste it here. So it should look something like this. Now just save it and exit the acquis file. And now just go to the directory of CrowdSec and create the Docker Compose file of CrowdSec. Now just copy the contents of Docker Compose file again for the CrowdSec and paste it here. So it should look something like this. Now as you can see, we have to create the CrowdSec network, which is the Crowd1 network, and the traffic log volume should also be created before running the Docker Compose file of CrowdSec. So we would be creating these in the traffic reverse proxy Docker Compose file. So just save it for now and confirm the mapping is done correctly for the acquis file. So we have created the acquis file according to the config which should be done in the Docker Compose. So this is correct. Now just exit it and save this file. So now we need to edit the traffic reverse proxies Docker Compose files. So just go to the traffic reverse proxies directory and go to the data directory, and here edit the traffic.yml file first. So as you can see, the traffic.yml file looks something like this. So we need to add some lines at the last for traffic reverse proxy. So just copy the lines from the file posted in the GitHub link and match them with this file. So you need to add the information for storing the logs and the access logs, and also add the plugins for the traffic reverse proxy. So just paste the contents from there and it should look something like this. So now just verify it and save it. So once this is done, just go to the main directory of traffic and edit the Docker Compose file here. Now here let's go to the volumes tab and add the volume of traffic logs 1 here. So it should look something like this. Okay, so add the network here also. And save it. And once done, just add the volume below also of traffic logs. And also add the network here to be created. Now once the traffic reverse proxy would be created, this network also would be created along with it. And if the traffic reverse proxy is stopped, this network would also be stopped. So just make sure of that. You can also set it as external as true, and then you can create it separately. Now save the file and exit the Docker Compose file. So once this is done, just redeploy the Docker Compose or traffic reverse proxy. So now the volume is created, and now do the same for CrowdSec also. And now it is created. So the CrowdSec part is done. Now you can check the CrowdSec decision list by typing So as you can see, there is no decision made till now. Now just go to Traefik back. Go to the data directory of Traefik and here edit the config.yml file. Now in this file you will need to add some middlewares below the middleware option, which would be the CrowdSec Bouncer plugin and the Cloudflare Real IP plugin. So just give the space for them to be added and go to the GitHub link and copy the contents from the config file there. Now just paste the contents here and it should look something like this. So you have to modify some things here, like in the log level you have to modify it as debug once you are testing it, and if the testing is complete you can change it to the info one. Now here you will need to generate the API key which is running the CrowdSec. So here you will need to generate the API key from the CrowdSec which would be used in the bouncer. So you will need to do that now. And also before doing that, just modify the client trusted IPs here listed below. So these are the internal LAN IP addresses which would be trusted and would be used to access the services uninterruptedly. So these IPs will not be affected by the CrowdSec checking and the bouncers. So make sure that your line IPs are in the client trusted IPs list. So here you can put the IP range of your internal LANs. So once you have done this, just go above and replace this API key from the CrowdSec. So now type this command and now click enter to generate the API key. Now make sure that you keep this API key safe because it will not be shown again. And once you have lost this key, you will need to generate it again and redeploy the CrowdSec. So just go to the config file and paste the API key there. And here just save the file and now you can exit it. So your CrowdSec Bouncer config is done now. Now here this is the important part for the CrowdSec one, that if you have selected the stream mode, then it will take some seconds or it will take some time to update the changes from the CrowdSec directory to the CrowdSec Bouncer. So as in this case, it will take around 15 seconds to update the CrowdSec Bouncer about the banned IPs from the CrowdSec API. So this is done to make it efficient and to make it work more properly, and it is the recommended method of the plugin. So you can also keep the live mode on if you want it to ban IPs immediately. So now just save the file and exit it. Now you need to go to the traefik.yml file and edit it. Now here in this file we would be adding the middlewares to make the traffic use them at the entry points. So all the services going through the entry points would be making use of these middlewares, which would be the CrowdSec middleware and the Cloudflare middleware. So just go to the GitHub page and copy the HTTP section of the middlewares and replace it in the traefik.yml file present on the local host. So it should look something like this for the HTTP entry point. And something like this for the HTTPS entry point. So once this is done, just confirm it and save the file. Now just redeploy the traffic reverse proxy and the changes should be applied now. So there is one more thing that we need to add in the CrowdSec and the traffic reverse proxy. So we need to add the IP address of Cloudflare tunnel which is running to the traffic reverse proxy's trusted proxy list. So just go to the data folder and edit the traffic.yml file. And here below the entry points, add the trusted IPs section. So if you are using the Cloudflare tunnel, you should add something like this. So you have to add the forwarded headers and add the trusted IPs under that and fix the IP address of the Cloudflare tunnel container. And add the same below the HTTPS entry point also and save it. And now just recreate the traffic reverse proxies Docker container. So once you have set up the traffic instance and the CrowdSec instance, you just need to set up the Cron tab to make sure that the CrowdSec database is updated every few hours. So to do that, just type and in the Cron tab just add to the bottom the command to update the database. You can find the command to update the database in the GitHub repository. So just copy the command from there and paste it here. So it should look something like this. So this command runs every 3 hours and updates the database and updates the repository list of the CrowdSec. So just save it now and exit the Cron tab. So now to confirm whether the CrowdSec is working along with CrowdSec Bouncer or not, we will check to ban an IP and we will try to visit a local service. So as you can see, the Portainer web page is opening and the IP is not banned. Now we will try to ban this IP manually and check it again. So first we will check the CrowdSec metrics whether it is reading the logs or not by typing so as you can see, these are the metrics and it is able to read the access log here and the traffic log here. So our traffic logs are working for the CrowdSec detection. Now we will just check whether any IP addresses are already banned or not. So as you can see, there are no banned IPs listed in the decision list for now. So we will add an IP to check it. So now as you can see, the decision has been added successfully. Now we will check the decision list also. So the IP has been banned manually by us. So now we will try to access the web page again. And now you can try to reload the web page again. And as you can see, our ban is working successfully. So in this way you can ban the IP addresses, and CrowdSec will take care of it by securing your services by keeping them behind the security protections offered by CrowdSec. So in this way you can secure all your services present on your server. You can check the decision list also, and you can delete the IP address now. So you can see in the decision list that the IP address is banned, so you can remove it from the decision list now. And once you remove it, it is deleted from the decision list and there are no active decisions made on any IP address. So you can visit the web page now. Just refresh it and the service is accessible again. Now there are some troubleshooting steps that you can take to check why your ban is not working. So for that you can go and exit into the Docker container of CrowdSec to view the logs of Traefik reverse proxy and check the logs of CrowdSec also. Now you can check the Traefik logs by going into the CrowdSec container or the Traefik container. And now you can check the access log and the traffic log whether there are any errors or not in that. Now as you can see, there are no errors present here regarding the middleware. And for checking whether the correct IP address is obtained or not, you can check the access logs. And here if you see the local IP address of container here of Cloudflare tunnel, then you need to add the forwarded headers in the Traefik reverse proxy and check the IP address entered in the CrowdSec Bouncer for the trusted headers. So in this video we have deployed a CrowdSec API along with CrowdSec Bouncer, which would take decisions upon the CrowdSec API decision list, and through that it would protect our server from malicious attacks. And in this specific case, it is also acting as a web application firewall, and it is protecting our server from unpatched vulnerabilities without having to patch them immediately. So that was all for this video, and if you have any comments or suggestions, just comment them down below. Thank you for watching.